All right, welcome back for another deep dive.
Mm.
Today,
Yeah.
we're cracking open the developer notes
Okay.
on the latest Path of Exile, early access.
Cool.
Changes, you sent in your feedback,
Yep.
and the devs have been listening. We're talking big shifts in loot,
Oh, wow.
some quality of life tweaks, and a whole lot more.
I love it when they listen.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes such a big difference.
Absolutely.
It's the player.
So,
Yeah.
what's fascinating is how these changes, even small ones,
Right.
ripple through the entire game.
Yeah, it's like a delicate ecosystem,
Yeah.
and the devs are adjusting the balance.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Starting with those dodge rolls. Remember how frustrating it was
Oh, yeah.
to get pinned between a monster and a wall?
Oh, constantly.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Players were finding themselves trapped a little too often.
And the developers heard you.
They did.
They're not changing the core. Mechanic monsters should still be able to trap and kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
They've made some tweaks to give you a fighting chance.
Here's where it gets interesting. During a dodge roll, your character's size is actually reduced to 0.
Whoa!
0! It's like becoming a ghost for a split second, allowing you to slip through those tiny gaps.
That is going to be a game changer.
It is.
Think of those adorned beetles in Keth.
Oh, yeah.
Before you get stuck, now you can dodge roll right through them.
Oh, that's amazing. Especially in tight spaces, but don't get too cocky. You're not invincible.
Yeah.
You can still get trapped if you're not careful.
Right.
It's all about giving you more control in those clutch moments.
More agency, yeah.
Okay.
Like that. Speaking of control, let's talk checkpoints.
Okay.
You know the feeling.
Yeah.
You're deep in a sprawling map.
Mm.
You die and then have to run all the way back.
The worst.
Not fun.
Ugh, so tedious.
The new checkpoint system
Yeah.
is designed to alleviate that pain.
Thank goodness.
Imagine this.
Yeah.
You discover a checkpoint,
Okay.
and now you can teleport back to it any time just by clicking on the mini-map. Awesome. No more endless backtracking.
That's going to save so much time.
It is. They've even added checkpoints at all zone entrances and exits for easier travel. And get this.
What?
They've put a checkpoint right in the middle of the first Dreadnought area.
No way.
Think about how much time that will save you.
I know, right? I'm excited already.
It's all about streamlining the experience and letting you focus on what matters, slaying monsters and getting loot.
My 2 favorite things.
And speaking of loot,
Yes.
that's where things get really juicy.
Okay, I'm ready.
The devs have taken a hard look at player feedback
Good.
and made some major adjustments to how rewards work, focusing on rare monsters,
Okay.
currency drops,
Mm-hmm.
and how those map mods you choose actually affect what you find.
So like the whole reward system?
Pretty much. The
Interesting.
goal is clear,
What is it?
to make sure that when you overcome a challenge, you feel rewarded for your effort.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And it all starts with those rare monsters players were saying they weren't rewarding enough,
I know, right?
especially as you get into the end game.
It felt like, why even bother?
Yeah, the developers agree the difficulty didn't match the loot,
True.
which made fighting them feel kind of pointless.
Exactly.
So they've made some big changes to the way rarity and quantity bonuses work.
Like what?
Now, for each modifier a rare monster has,
Yeah.
you get double the rarity bonus
Ooh.
and a 10% quantity bonus.
Nice.
That means more loot and rarer loot.
I like the sound of that.
And to make things even sweeter, rare monsters in the endgame have a higher chance of having even more modifiers.
So even more loot.
Exactly. So the rewards naturally scale up as you progress.
Ooh, that's good change.
Pretty neat, right?
Yeah, it is. And what's even more interesting is how this change indirectly boosts other mechanics that increase monster modifiers. It all works together to make those rare encounters feel truly worthwhile.
It does.
Definitely.
All right, on to currency.
Okay.
There were certain currencies that you just weren't finding enough of.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
Whether it was early game or for those map modifications, the devs heard you loud and clear and made some adjustments to the drop rates.
I'm glad they are paying attention.
Currency is the lifeblood of Path of Exile, right?
It is.
It's how you trade, craft, and customize your build.
Exactly.
Getting the right currency at the right time is crucial.
For sure.
Here's the breakdown.
Okay.
The Regal Orb drop rate,
Yeah.
up by a whopping 40%.
Nice.
And if you disenchant a 6 modifier rare item, you'll now get 2 Regal shards instead of 1.
Sweet.
Plus, they've increased the Lesser Jeweler's Orb drop rate by about 33%.
That's going to make a difference.
It is, especially if you're into crafting. You'll be seeing more of these Regal Orbs, meaning more opportunities to modify your items and potentially create some truly powerful gear.
That's awesome.
But here's where things get interesting.
Okay.
They've actually slightly decreased the chaos orb drop rate.
What?
Now, you might be thinking, less chaos orbs, but I use those all the time. But think of it like this. By making chaos orbs, which are used for more common crafting,
Yeah.
slightly scarcer, they're indirectly making those other really valuable currencies.
Like what?
Like exalted orbs, a bit more common, the ones you need for high-end crafting.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's all about creating a more balanced and rewarding currency ecosystem. They're basically fine-tuning the knobs and dials of the game's economy.
I like it.
And to shake things up even further, they've given Gemcutter's Prisms a massive boost. The drop rate is up by 500%.
Oh.
And instead of that measly 1% quality increase,
Yeah, right.
they now bump your gems up by 5%.
Seriously?
That is a game changer for anyone who focuses on gem leveling and optimization. Gemcutter's Prisms just became a lot more valuable and a lot more useful.
That is huge.
It really encourages you to think about your gem strategy and how to maximize their potential.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've got rare monsters currency. Now let's talk map mods.
Right?
Remember, the goal is to make sure the difficulty feels rewarding.
It has to be worth it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in this case, the focus is on those prefix map mods
Okay.
and how they change the game. They've really wanted to make sure these prefixes have a meaningful impact on your gameplay.
Yeah, like actually make a difference.
And they do. They've made some massive adjustments to the way rarity and quantity modifiers work. For example, rarity mods have been increased by 2.5 times.
Wow.
That's huge.
That is huge.
It means that when you tackle maps with these mods, you have a much higher chance of finding those rare, valuable items you've been hunting for.
I can't wait.
And get this, quantity mods now also have extra rarity added to them.
So you're getting even more.
So you're not just getting more loot, you're getting more chances at the good stuff.
Oh, I like it.
Plus, they've removed those low-tier mods to ensure that every roll feels impactful, and they've increased the chances of rolling modifiers that affect loot drops and pack size.
So it's more strategic.
It really encourages you to be strategic about your map selection and understand how these mods can change your experience and your rewards. All right, so now you're deep in a map. You're slaying monsters.
Yeah.
You're getting great loot.
Let's go.
But what about those moments where you feel like you just got unlucky with a unique boss drop?
Oh, yeah.
Especially early in the game.
Right.
A bad drop can really set you back.
It can be brutal.
That's true. A single bad drop can have a ripple effect on your character's progression, especially when you're still vulnerable in the early stages.
Especially early on.
To combat that feeling of bad luck,
Okay.
they've made two key changes.
What are they?
First, unique monsters can no longer drop more than 50% gold.
Interesting.
This is a subtle change, but it guarantees that you'll always get at least some equipment and currency items from those unique monster kills. No more frustrating all gold drops.
I've been there.
And to further improve the early game experience bosses and map bosses are now guaranteed to drop at least one rare item.
So you're guaranteed something decent.
It's a safety net for players,
Okay.
ensuring that you'll always have at least one decent piece of loot to help you on your journey.
Nice.
Let's shift our focus to the end game.
Okay.
Remember those rare monsters we were talking
Mhm,
about?
mhm.
The ones that are crucial for loot and progression?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes in the heat of battle, it's easy to miss them. They blend in or spawn in those less traveled corners of the map.
I know what you mean.
It can be really frustrating to miss out on those valuable encounters, especially when you're pushing your character to the limit.
Totally.
So to make sure you have ample opportunity to hunt down these valuable targets,
Yeah.
they've made a couple of adjustments. Remember how we talked about those rare monsters appearing on the mini-map?
Yeah.
Right?
With like 50 monsters left.
Before they only popped up with 50 monsters left on the map,
Right.
which didn't give you much time to react.
Yeah, you had to be quick.
Well, now they show up with 200 monsters remaining.
Seriously.
It gives you much more time to react and strategize your approach.
That's a good change.
It's a small change that makes a big difference, especially when you're trying to maximize your endgame efficiency. And speaking of maximizing, remember that adjustment to the Chaos Orb drop rate we talked about, making them a bit scarcer to increase the value of other
Yeah.
less common currencies.
Right.
Well, they've done something similar with Gemcutter's Prisms.
Oh, really?
Remember that huge drop rate increase?
Yeah.
And how they now give a much larger quality boost to gems.
It was a big jump.
Well, to keep things balanced, Gemcutter's Prisms are now considered a rare currency.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's smart by categorizing them as rare. They're subject to the same drop rate mechanics as other valuable currencies, which helps maintain their value and prevents them from flooding the market.
So it keeps them special.
It's like they're playing chess, with the game's economy, making strategic moves to ensure that everything has its place and its value.
They're good at that.
And that's one of the things that makes Path of Exile so compelling. It's a
Yeah.
complex system, but when it works well, it creates a truly rewarding and engaging experience.
It really does.
Absolutely. And speaking of rewarding, let's talk about one final change that adds a little extra spice to those endgame maps. The addition of even more rare monsters.
Oh, wow. Even more.
It's easy to get caught up in the big, flashy changes, but it's these smaller quality of life improvements that often have the biggest impact on our enjoyment of the game.
I agree.
Totally. And by increasing the minimum number of rare monsters across all map types,
Okay.
they're not just boosting the loot potential,
Yeah.
they're injecting a little more excitement and unpredictability into every map you run.
I like that a lot.
It's like a hidden treasure chest waiting to be discovered around every corner.
Yeah.
You never know when you'll stumble upon one of these challenging encounters and reap the rewards.
That keeps things interesting.
And that's what keeps us coming back for more, right? The thrill of the unknown, the challenge of pushing our builds to the limit, and the satisfaction of finally finding that elusive piece of loot.
That's the good stuff.
It's a delicate dance between creating a sense of progression and reward, while also maintaining a sense of wonder and discovery.
They've got a good handle on it.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered all the major changes based on player feedback during this early access period.
It sounds like a lot of good stuff.
It's remarkable how these seemingly small adjustments can have a cascading effect on the overall gameplay experience. It's like they're constantly tweaking the recipe to create the perfect gaming experience, adding a pinch of this and a dash of that to get the flavors just right.
Yeah, it's impressive. They're always cooking something up in that studio.
Yeah, it's like they're crafting a symphony of gameplay where each note, each adjustment contributes to a richer, more harmonious experience.
I like that.
And speaking of fine-tuning, remember that annoying move-only command?
Yeah.
The one that would sometimes lock onto an enemy and make your character attack when you were just trying to move?
Oh, yeah. That was the worst. It was like you're trying to be all tactical, and then your character just goes rogue.
Oh, good news. They've removed the name lock functionality from move only. Now, when you use that command, your character will only move,
Thank goodness.
making navigation much more predictable and reliable.
That'll be a relief for a lot of players, I think.
It's those little details that really elevate the gameplay experience.
They do.
And speaking of elevating,
Yeah.
let's circle back to those endgame maps and the importance of encountering rare monsters.
Right, we were talking about how crucial those encounters are for loot and progression.
Yeah, but in the chaos of a packed map with explosions and spells flying everywhere, it's easy to miss them. They might blend in with the regular mobs.
Yeah.
Spawn in those less traveled corners of the map.
You can totally miss them.
And that's a missed opportunity, not just for loot, but for a more challenging and engaging encounter.
For sure.
Exactly. And remember those changes to when rare monsters appear on the minimap?
Yeah.
Before, they'd only pop up with 50 monsters left on the map, which didn't give you much time to react. Well, now they appear much earlier with 200 monsters remaining. That gives you a fighting chance to find them and strategize your approach.
Much better.
It's a small change that makes a big difference, especially when you're trying to maximize your endgame efficiency.
Definitely.
And speaking of maximizing,
Uh-huh.
remember that adjustment to the Chaos Orb drop rate we talked about? Making them a bit scarcer?
Yeah, to make the other currencies
To increase the value of other less common currencies?
more valuable. Yeah.
Well, they've done something similar with Gemcutter's prisms.
Oh, really?
Remember that huge drop rate increase and how they now give a much larger quality boost to gems?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, to keep things balanced, Gemcutter's prisms are now considered a rare currency.
Okay.
That's smart by categorizing them as rare. They're subject to the same drop rate mechanics as other valuable currencies, which helps maintain their value and prevents them from flooding the market.
Makes sense. Keeps them special.
It's like they're playing chess with the game's economy, making strategic moves to ensure that everything has its place and its value.
It's a balancing act for sure.
And that's one of the things that makes Path of Exile so compelling. It's a complex system, but when it works well, it creates a truly rewarding and engaging experience.
I agree with that.
Absolutely. And speaking of rewarding, let's talk about one final change that adds a little extra spice to those endgame maps.
Okay, hit me.
The addition of even more rare monsters.
More rare monsters.
It's easy to get caught up in the big flashy changes, but it's these smaller quality of life improvements that often have the biggest impact on our enjoyment of the game.
It's true, the little things add up.
Totally. And by increasing the minimum number of rare monsters across all map types, they're not just boosting the loot potential. They're injecting a little more excitement and unpredictability into every map you run.
So you never quite know what you're going to get.
It's like a hidden treasure chest, waiting to be discovered around every corner.
Hmm.
You never know when you'll stumble upon one of these challenging encounters and reap the rewards.
I like that a lot.
And that's what keeps us coming back for more, right? The thrill of the unknown, the challenge of pushing our builds to the limit,
Yeah.
and the satisfaction of finally finding that elusive piece of loot.
That's what it's all about.
It's a delicate dance between creating a sense of progression and reward while also maintaining a sense of wonder and discovery.
They do a good job of balancing those things.
They really do a fantastic job. It's amazing how much thought goes into balancing a game as complex as Path of Exile.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they're conducting an orchestra
Yeah.
of mechanics, making sure every instrument plays its part harmoniously.
And that's what makes following these early access changes so interesting. We get a glimpse behind the curtain, see the developer's thought process as they react to player feedback and fine-tune the experience.
Right, right. So out of all these tweaks and adjustments, what stands out to you as the most significant?
That's a tough one. I think the overarching theme here is responsiveness.
Okay.
You know, the developers are clearly listening to the community
Yeah.
and making changes that directly address player concerns, whether it's frustration with dodge roll mechanics or tedious backtracking
Right.
or a lack of rewarding loot.
It's like they're really taking our feedback to heart.
Exactly. They're not just throwing darts at a board.
Right.
They're making targeted adjustments that demonstrate a real understanding of what players want and need.
It reinforces the idea that game development is an ongoing process,
It is.
a conversation between the creators and the players.
It's a collaboration.
Yeah. And it's a reminder that our feedback matters. By sharing our experiences, both positive and negative, we contribute to the evolution of the game.
Absolutely. So to all our fellow Path of Exile exiles out there,
Yes.
get ready to dive back into Rayclass and experience these changes firsthand and keep that feedback coming.
Yeah.
Your voices are shaping the future of the game.
It's an exciting time to be a Path of Exile player.
It is.
With each update, the game evolves, offering new challenges, new rewards, and new depths to explore as you journey through Rayclass. Consider this. How will these changes impact your gameplay? Will you adjust your strategies, experiment with new builds, explore different maps?
Every change brings opportunity.
It does.
It's up to us to adapt, innovate, and discover the optimal path to victory. Good luck, Exiles, and may your loot drops be legendary.
Until next time, keep grinding, keep exploring, and keep those deep dives going.